I didn't notice it all at once. There wasn't a moment I could point to and say, that's when it happened. It came the way many things do now, slowly, quietly, without asking permission. At first, it felt like a small change in rhythm. A different pace to our conversations. A pause where something used to be. I told myself it was nothing. That life was simply full. That adults have their own currents, and parents eventually learn to stand on the shore. But the feeling stayed. I remember sitting alone after a call ended, holding the phone a few seconds longer than necessary. Not because I expected it to ring again, but because I was trying to understand what had just passed between us, and what hadn't. That's when the realization settled in, gently but firmly. I was no longer being asked. Not avoided. Not pushed away. Just, not consulted. There was a time when I was the first call. I don't say that with pride or ownership. It's just how it was. When something big or small came up, my number was dialed without much thought. Decisions weren't made in isolation. They were shared, talked through, turned over from different angles. I listened more than I spoke. Or at least, I tried to. I offered guidance when it was wanted, silence when it wasn't. I felt included in a way that made sense, not because I needed control, but because connection was still part of the process. Those conversations gave shape to my role as a parent long after childhood ended. They told me I still mattered in the quiet ways that count. Then the changes began, subtle enough that I almost missed them. Calls grew shorter. Not rushed, just efficient. Updates replaced questions. I heard about things that had already been decided, already put into motion. The tone was calm, even cheerful. Nothing to object to. Except the absence. I told myself this was growth. Independence. Something I had worked toward for years. I reminded myself that this was the goal, to raise someone who didn't need permission or reassurance to move forward. Still, there was a hollow feeling that followed me after those conversations ended. The first big decision I wasn't asked about arrived quietly. I found out later, not from secrecy, but from assumption. It had already been handled. There was no reason to consult me. I remember the moment clearly, not the details, but the sensation. A kind of emotional misstep, like expecting a stare that isn't there. I adjusted quickly. I smiled. I said the right things. I meant them. And then I sat with it afterward, alone, trying to understand why it felt heavier than it should have. I didn't feel angry. That surprised me. What I felt was confusion. Was this normal? Had I missed something earlier? Was there a moment when my guidance became unnecessary, or worse, unwelcome? I replayed old conversations in my mind, searching for a mistake I might have made. A comment that lingered too long. Advice that crossed into interference. Silence that should have been filled. But memory doesn't always give answers. Sometimes it just gives echoes. I started asking myself what respect looks like now. When you're no longer consulted, is that a sign of trust or distance? Is silence a form of consideration, or a quiet boundary you're meant to notice without naming? I don't want to confuse independence with rejection. I know they're not the same. I believe that. And yet, I can't ignore the feeling that something has shifted in a way I wasn't prepared for. There's a fear I don't say out loud, because saying it feels selfish. A fear that wanting to be needed somehow diminishes the love I already receive. But the fear exists anyway. It's the fear of becoming optional. Of fading into the background of a life that once revolved around shared moments and shared decisions. Of being remembered fondly, but not actively. I wonder where the line is, between letting go with grace and quietly disappearing. Between respecting autonomy and losing connection. I don't know where that line sits, and I'm not sure anyone tells you when you're crossing it. Some days, I feel acceptance growing. A calm understanding that roles change, and that holding on too tightly only creates distance. Other days, the quiet feels like erasure, and I struggle to tell the difference. I don't have an answer to offer. I'm still learning how to inhabit this stage without bitterness, without retreating inward, without demanding a place that no longer belongs to me in the same way. So I leave this thought here, unresolved, the way so many of these feelings are. When your guidance is no longer asked for, how do you stay present in the life of your child? Without disappearing, and without holding on too tightly?